He walked into court alone. No lawyer, no tie, no one backing him. Just a 17-year-old black teen with a folder in his hand and fire in his eyes. The judge laughed. The audience whispered. Everyone thought it was going to be a disaster. But what happened next? It changed everything. Because within minutes, that same teen would flip the courtroom upside down and leave even the judge speechless. He didn't flinch when the judge chuckled under his breath. Didn't blink when the bailiff gave him a side-eye. He just stood there, still, focused, and unshaken. His name was Malik Carter, 17 years old. No parents in the courtroom, no legal team, just a worn folder of carefully printed documents clutched in his hands. He glanced at the jury box, then up at the judge, and calmly said, "Yes, Your Honor, I'm representing myself today." A low murmur spread across the courtroom like a ripple. The judge sighed, annoyed, flipping through the file in front of him. "Well, this should be interesting," he said, smirking. Malik didn't react. He simply walked over to the defense table and began organizing his papers, every move deliberate, every glance calculated. He had spent the last 6 months behind bars waiting for this moment, charged with burglary, vandalism, and resisting arrest. The DA wanted to try him as an adult, but Malik knew something no one else in that courtroom believed. He was innocent. And more than that, he knew how to prove it. It had all started on a rainy Thursday night in the Eastwood neighborhood. A tech store had been broken into. Thousands of dollars in electronics were stolen. Security footage showed someone in a hoodie and black jeans sprinting from the scene. A few blocks away, Malik had been walking home from his after-school tutoring session. The cops stopped him, asked no questions, and threw him face down on the pavement. The hoodie he wore that night? Blue, not black, but they didn't care. His court-appointed lawyer barely glanced at his file, told him to take a plea deal, said it was better than risking 10 years in adult prison. But Malik didn't take the deal. Instead, he started reading. Day and night. In the detention center library, law books, case studies, civil rights articles. He wrote letters, filed motions, requested evidence, and when it became clear his own lawyer wouldn't fight for him, he decided he'd fight for himself. Now, in that cold courtroom, the fight was on. The prosecutor was confident. She strutted to the jury and painted Malik as a repeat offender, a troubled youth from a broken home. "This is a clear-cut case," she said. "Caught near the scene, matching description, resisting arrest. Let's not waste time." She didn't even bother looking at him. To her, he was already guilty. To most people in the room, he was just another statistic. But Malik had something they didn't see coming: the truth and receipts. He stood and walked to the center of the courtroom. "May I present Exhibit A?" he asked, holding up a printed receipt from the tutoring center, time-stamped, signed by his instructor, and recorded with an entry log. "I was across town when the robbery happened," he said clearly, "and I have proof." He handed the receipt to the judge. Then he called his first witness, Ms. Denise Harper, his tutor. She was calm and direct. "He was with me from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., she said. "We were working on algebra." The courtroom shifted. The judge raised an eyebrow. The prosecutor leaned forward, no longer smiling. Malik continued. "Next, I'd like to submit Exhibit B, Metro surveillance footage." He played a grainy video that showed him boarding the city bus at 9:38 p.m., miles from the scene of the robbery. "That's the same time the break-in occurred," Malik stated. "So unless I can teleport, I couldn't have done it." The prosecutor objected, claimed the footage wasn't clear, said the hoodie looked similar to the suspects. But Malik was prepared. He zoomed in, showing the blue hoodie and the white school emblem on the chest, one the suspect didn't have. Then came the final blow. "Your Honor, may I approach the bench?" he asked. The judge nodded. He handed the judge a printout of a social media post, time-stamped during the robbery. The post showed a selfie taken by a local teen named Darren, captioned, "Bout to make this easy money." In the photo, a red backpack, black jeans, and on the floor behind him, a crowbar. Darren had since disappeared. Rumors said he fled the state, but Malik didn't need to find him. He only needed to raise reasonable doubt. And he had done that, 10 times over. Silence filled the room. Jurors looked at each other, stunned. The prosecutor sat frozen. The judge adjusted his glasses, then cleared his throat. "Mr. Carter, I have to say, I've never seen anything like this." The jury deliberated for less than 15 minutes. Not guilty. A single tear rolled down Malik's cheek. Not because he was free, but because someone finally listened. But what happened after was just as powerful. Reporters flooded the hallway. His story went viral. Teen defends himself and wins against the system. People demanded an investigation into the original arrest. The judge who mocked him issued a rare public apology. The prosecutor was reassigned. And Malik? He got scholarship offers from 6 universities. But he didn't stop there. He used the attention to launch Project Defense, a community-led initiative helping wrongly accused teens learn their rights, understand the law, and fight back against broken systems. "If no one teaches us," he said, "then we'll teach each other." The same courtroom that once laughed at him would go on to invite him back a year later to speak at a youth justice summit. This time, he wore a tie. Not to impress anyone, but to show them he was never just a statistic. He was a story of what happens when you refuse to be silent. And the judge who once doubted him? He stood and clapped. They say the courtroom is where truth comes to light. But in Malik's case, it was where the whole world saw what happens when brilliance refuses to be ignored. This is RealTalk Stories. Real people, real injustice, and real power. If this story inspired you, don't just scroll past. Share it. Someone out there needs to hear that it's never too early, too late, or too impossible to stand up for yourself. Because sometimes, the one everyone doubts turns out to be the one who changes everything. Subscribe for more real stories that matter. And until next time, stay loud, stay bold, and never stop fighting for what's right.